Hey, welcome to Viking Preparedness. I am Pastor Joe Fox. Welcome to this little walk and talk. I'm going to talk today about some contingency things, but first, I guess my dogs killed that. Yuck. Scared me when I saw it. Hey, I'm going to talk to you about some contingency operations or tasks that you can undertake that I think will help you potentially very much in the future. But before that, just a little update. Get my eyes checked today. I'll probably shoot a YouTube video after I get the results on how my eyes are on PRK for survival. But I'll tell y'all, I'm really happy with it. I'm not using eye drops hardly at all anymore. Sometimes when we have the wood stove going pretty hot at night, when I wake up in the morning, I'll put a couple drops in. They kind of dry out. But man, I love being able to see. So that's the early version of the YouTube video. You know, I didn't work out. I didn't carry anything over 20 pounds for 6 weeks. Before that, I was kind of favoring myself because I had pain. And I just started lifting again 2 days ago. And I purposely did not overdo it at the gym. I did 3 sets of bench, 2 sets of curls, and 2 sets of military press. That's it. I'm not going to tell you my weights because I wasn't real happy with that. But I realize, you know, you're not getting to 225 today there, PJ. So, but I did it. And this is 2 days later. And we're going to go back tonight, I think, and probably work out again, lift some more. And I'm liking it. I'm feeling better. You know what I mean? What I like here, I'm going to stop just so you guys can have a view. What I like about this time of year is how far you can see through the woods. Isn't that neat? You're not getting dizzy, are you? I'm trying to stay steady. Just focus on my eyes. All right. So yeah, eyes checkup today. Lifting tonight. We're getting ready for the apprentices. The first group are coming in on Monday. Life's getting back to normal. It's nice. You know, it was 56 degrees yesterday, mid-January. That's pretty awesome temperature. That's what I love about the Ozarks. However, today it's going to go down into the low teens tonight, and then it's going to stay cold again for about a week, but not as cold as it was when it was down in the single digits and didn't go above freezing for a week. I think we only have one day in the extended forecast where it's not going to get above freezing, so that's cool. Man, it's nice down here. I tell you, my wife and I were talking, you know, we're retired, right? Sorta. But man, we're busy. I would like to take just a couple days and just hike around Shofar Mountain, you know, just like explore new parts. I think I've walked over most of it, but you know, if you're gonna walk from here down to there, there's certain lines of drift that you naturally follow, right? Even though you're walking through the middle of the woods. My dog's alerted on something. Probably a deer. And can you see her? And so sometimes I purposely make myself walk through the woods in a different direction. Because I got to tell you, one thing I've always looked for here, and I've never been able to find, is a cave. And if I ever did find one, I wouldn't tell y'all. But I will tell you, I haven't. And I would really like to find a cave, like a real cave. I think that would be cool. All right, so speaking of caves, that's a good segue. Contingency plans. Contingency plans are just plans that you have hopefully steps that you take so that that plan is actually viable, that will provide you flexibility in the event things don't go like you thought they were gonna. And typically, when we have problems, things don't go like we thought they were gonna. I'm seeing something yellow through the trees that shouldn't be there. I know, I keep interrupting, but I'm trying to show you. You can't really see that with this. Well, we'll go down there and see. I wonder what that is. And so you want to provide yourself flexibility. And what am I talking about? What are some of the most important things as a prepper that you need to ensure? Food and water, right? You got to have food and water. It looks like the tarp. I know I'm interjecting and hey, you're on a walk, man. It looks like the tarp came off of the top of the goat shed. We did have a lot of wind in the last 2 days. That's what happened. We'll have to get that fixed. I can't do that in film and get ready to go get my eyes checked all at the same time. All right, so food and water. You have your food storage system somewhere, right? Pantry, garage, basement, whatever. Do you have all your eggs in one basket? Like, do you have... That's weird looking. Do you have food all stored in your house or all stored in your garage so that, y'all forbid, and I'm not giving these words any power, but something happens, a fire, a tornado, you know, whatever, thieves, and you lose it all. Are you going to lose all of it? Are you going to lose all your food storage? I would suggest, I would recommend that you split it up a little bit. You know, now obviously the stuff you're going to use day to day, your pantry, yeah, keep that in the house. I'm talking more medium to long-term stores. You know, if you have 10 bottles of Heinz ketchup, which is barely enough, you can have one in the fridge, and it actually doesn't need to be refrigerated, but you have one in the fridge, and then you have, let's say you have 2 in the pantry, you know, so you have backups. Well, where are you going to have the other 7 bottles of ketchup? They could be in the pantry. You know, you could have a nice little line of 7 bottles, or you could keep the extra bottles in location 3, you know, refrigerator, pantry, garage. Something like that. Same with water. Don't have all your water in one place. You know, I've got my survival water. I have these 8 cans of water. Which way you want to go, dog? And keep some here, keep some there. That kind of thing. Long-term food stores. Buckets. Where do you keep them? You know, you can bury buckets, right? You don't even have to bury them deep. Just dig a trench as wide as your buckets. If you feel the absolute need, you could rip some plywood as high as a bucket and stick it down each side of the trench so the trench doesn't cave in, but really you're not going to have a problem with that. I would put something like plywood, a strip or a board over top of the buckets. Then put a piece of plastic, like that black plastic, over top of the whole thing. Tuck it down around the sides. Throw about this much dirt on top of it. Put some leaves on it. Can you see 40 buckets right here? There aren't, but there could be, right? I could have come out here with that backhoe and dug a trench, lined up buckets in it, buried them, covered them, and they're right there forever until I need to use them. And when you want to use them, if they're only buried this deep, you know, no big deal, right? Drive down there in your four-wheeler or your pickup or whatever, dig a little bit, and pull them out. You could do the same thing in your backyard, right? I used to tell people, if you have a lot of cash, you know, 20s, 10s, 5s, whatever, don't keep a lot of cash in your house. Because if you do, there could be a fire, there could be a criminal or whatever, and good luck getting insurance to give you anything for that, right? But what you could do is stick it in a mayonnaise jar and just go bury it 3 inches down in your flower bed. And then don't tell one person in case you die. But don't tell people about it. Who's gonna find that? You know, but when you need it, just go out there, scoop down into your flower bed. Here's your mayonnaise jar. Pull out a couple 20s, screw it back and put it back, cover it over. No one will know. Contingency plans, that kind of thing. Most American, water's down, most American gun owners, own several guns. It always amuses me when you see in the newspaper they discovered this guy with an arsenal. And he's got like 3 guns and, 200 rounds of ammunition. Come on. A brick of 22 ammo is 500 rounds. Oh my God. So you got extra guns. I'm looking, I haven't been down here for a while. You have extra guns, you have extra ammo and stuff. Where do you keep it? Have you given thought to asking a buddy of yours to hang on to the one gun? You know how you have a gun that you never shoot, right? You got a firearm you rarely shoot. And I'm sure you have ammo for it. And if you're an American, you probably have accessories for it, right? Have you given thought to lending that on permanent loan to somebody and say, hey, can you just keep a hold of this for me? I want to keep it here just so I know that I have a gun in case something happens. That might be a good move on your part. Now, sure, you could have a friend who'd say, well, I'd loan you a gun if you ever needed it. He might not want to, but he'd certainly give you yours back, right? And you could say, hey, can you hang on to this gun for me? So there's a thing. Another thing is caching them. If you have extra guns that you don't need to be able to get at super quickly, caching is simple. You just get a piece of PVC pipe and you glue an end cap on, and then on the other end you can put a clean out plug in it, or you can glue another end cap on there, and then to open it you got to saw it off, Put guns and ammo and stuff in there and go bury it. Just bury it. If I had guns buried right over there, I wouldn't bury it down here by the creek, but maybe up on top of that hill, who would ever know? Right? Nobody would know. And you can do the same thing. I've buried guns before. When I had to go overseas, I buried a whole bunch of guns all over the country. Whole bunch, relative term. I buried guns in a few different places around the country, and they all did fine. And so you can do that. Another contingency plan. I've talked about this before on YouTube. I don't know if I have here. I developed this one when I lived, hold on, I gotta call my dog. There she is. When I lived in earthquake country in California, we were concerned that a big earthquake could happen and our house would fall down around us. And so we had a little shed out in the back, and I just packed a duffel bag with clothes for everybody and put it in that shed. And that way, if the house fell down around us while we're in our PJs, we could get out and still get dressed. And then when I had a garage, I did the same thing, kept a bag of clothes, in the garage. And so you should do something similar. You should have clothing, complete clothing, and this time of year you need more, right? You should have complete clothing outside of your residence. It could be as simple as keeping it in the trunk of the car. Make sure you have keys to it. Maybe hide some keys on the car just in case. But that way, again, God forbid you have a fire or something, you can have a way to get dressed and get moving. And so you can take these plans, come on dog, we're going this way. You can take these plans as far as you want. At one time in my life, I had things like money and ID and other little communication devices and stuff that were cached here and there when I was doing things, so that if my world turned upside down, I could access them and continue on. Never did have to, praise the Father. But you could do the same thing. You could take, I know you have a bug out bag of some kind. Do you have another one? Could you put together a cheap bug out bag and, I don't know, cache it 2 miles away from your house in the direction you think you're gonna flee if you have to flee in the middle of the night? And again, caching isn't hard. It could be something as simple as making it super waterproof, and hanging it up in that tree. Now this time of year that could be problematic, but you could find a fir tree, you know, or evergreen tree, or you could bury it in a bucket, you know, or something. I mean, it's not as technical as people want you to think it is. You do have to make sure it's waterproof, but no big deal. But then that way, if you just had to run, like right now, zombies are coming, you know, take off through the woods. Out there somewhere, you got a whole kit ready to go. Not your primary bug out bag. And I know you're not made of money. Wow, this tree fell across our road. I know you're not made of money, but come on, you got a bunch of knockoff stuff you don't really use anymore. Look at that tree, can you see that? You could put together a Plan B bug out kit. Also, if you had something like that, it's like a bug out bag kit that you've got stashed off-site. You never know how this world's gonna go. You could have a friend who shows up in the dark of night in an Underground Railroad kind of situation, and you know, you don't want to house them because the hounds are getting closer, but you can say, hey, go here, grab this bag, and keep going. You'll be good to go. Here comes Hazak joining the party. So, contingencies. Think about that. Everything you think is important, you should probably have another one stashed somewhere. Where am I gonna put a clone of Sister Kate? I don't think she'd want to be put in a bucket out here. Let's go find her. But that's what I've been thinking about. Contingency plans, physical ones, alternate means to carry on what you're doing. Taking some steps now. Hold on, I gotta call the dogs. Come on, dogs. Taking some steps now. And again, it doesn't have to be your grade A stuff. You know, it could be that knife that you thought was cool that you don't really like anymore. Cool, that's better than no knife, you know. It could be, like I said, the long-term food storage, the rice, beans, corn, and stuff that you know you're not going to touch for a while. Well, if you're not going to touch it for a while, why not put it somewhere more hidden? Can you see the dogs? They're getting really fit. All right, think about that. Maybe make some notes about things you might like to have extras of, or that you have extras of but you'd like to stash somewhere else. Different categories, like I said, food, water, bug out gear, whatever. Maybe you have some other ideas, you can put them in the comments. Make your notes, then put the things together and go put them in those alternate locations. Give your buddy your rifle, you know, your M44 and such. All right, I'll see you out there.